This is Julia Sotas, and you're listening to A Different Reality. What else is possible beyond this reality that you haven't yet chosen? Hi, everyone. Welcome to A Different Reality. I'm your host, Julia Sotas Mattis, and it is a chilly, rainy day here in South Carolina, and I am joined by a very special friend of mine, a very amazing guest, Susanna Mittermaier, who is joining us from her home in the country of Austria. So welcome, Susanna.
Thank you so much, Julia.
So Susanna and I were just talking before we got on the show, and one thing that I really love about the way that you do things, Susanna, and I know that it's been a journey for you and you've learned so many different things along the way, but you've really created an amazing business, and an amazing, but not just the business, but your approach to it is so different than other people's. And so I was hoping we could talk about that today and just get a little bit of an insight as to some of the things that you've done and the choices that you've made to create that.
That is so funny. When you say that, I have never considered myself as that. And I think that's one of the things that, because, I've never learned anything about business. The profession that I learned was to become a psychologist and a therapist. And I've never gone to business school or any kind of business education, which probably I could be grateful for, I must say, because, like when you have a profession, you have learned so much about it. So I've learned a lot about how people function and how you do to, whatever you need to do to inspire them to change. And so I have learned a lot of reference points about that profession. So to create something different, I had to let go of those reference points that I learned at university about that part, to find out what I know about it. So not having studied anything about business is, in that case, something that I learned to be grateful for, because I had no reference points. I'm like, oh, okay. I used to be employed, like, normal full-time job, first in child oncology and later in, psychiatry. And that was amazing. It's very comfortable, which you don't know when you are employed. When you're employed, you go, oh my God, I have to go to work again. Oh, it's Monday, Tuesday, so long until the weekend. Which I also learned tools to enjoy my employment, by the way, which if you want, I can share later. But the business part is something that came later as I, created something different with psychology and started to do workshops around it. So I never intended to even create a business. I was like, happy being employed. I just knew something has to change. And so, what do? You do your own thing, you start your business, because that's what you have to do when you do workshop stuff and everything like that, or conferences. And so, but I had no idea how that worked. So I just, basically jumped into this whole adventure without any reference points. All I had at hand was questions, like, now what? Like, okay, what, like, I don't even know what business is. Like the reference points I had to business was playing shopkeeper when I was 10 years old or 8 years or something. I was basically, like, yeah, that was my business education. So which was fun, because it had this joy of, I remember I had this little, I don't know in English, this wooden thing, and I had these small little, I had washing powder, I had some food cans, I had like little things, and then I sold quite good, because I guess I was pretty charming already when I was a child, I guess, who knows, or people felt sorry for me, I don't know, but it worked anyway, so
Oh my God, I so remember. I love to play shopkeeper. And
You
my sister and I would play restaurant for hours. And one of us would be the patron and the other would be the waitress. And we would go back into into the kitchen, which was behind our grandmother's couch. We would be cooking behind our grandma's couch and bring out the food. Oh, it was fun.
and that's the element, it's the fun and the non-significance and the, oh, and then later, it was like, I remember when I started with my business, I'm like, oh my God, back in the days, I have an email account. Wow. I'm so grown up. I have a computer. Oh my God, I get to type on it. I'm typing on my computer. I'm actually writing an email. Oh my God, like it's getting to a person who's going to read it and they're going to answer. Oh, it was this play fun. I'm going to, play business. And that's how I didn't even have a web page. I didn't even know what Facebook was or Instagram. And the way that everything was created was, yeah, by the element of joy, and also, by talking with people and by people, like, I did classes and then people said, oh my God, that's amazing. Can you come to that place? And then, it was just like from one person to the next. And I guess that's old school business, but it works. And yeah, times have changed, but I guess this old school way of creating is still amazing. Like we have times of so-called social distancing and everything is online and virtual, but we're still people. We still have bodies and we still love to engage with each other. We still like to talk. And as we do now, on the podcast, and
Yep.
and that's an element of engagement that is, for me, a big part of creating business and inspiring people. So yeah, so I'm a bit surprised that you call me out on that element of business. But yeah, that's what I can say about it for now.
So awesome, because honestly what it is, it's just you just, and that's what all, I was listening to a call yesterday and Gary was saying, is there anybody who's created $1 million business who's not crazy? and the answer was no. Everybody who creates $1 million business is crazy. And it's like, oh, I just love the example of playing shopkeeper because that is so an element that I want to bring into my business and the way that I do
Mm,
it now. That is so the generative. Oh, and I would love for you to talk about the generative energy too, but that is so the generative energy that makes things work in my business when I do it without even realizing. And
yeah.
like you're like the other game that we used to play was Vacation Getaway Center, so like a travel
What's
agent.
that?
So like a travel agency. So my sister would wear this this thing where you put it on your ear and then it has this microphone like a pop star that goes to your mouth. So my sister would put that on and then she would go. My parents had, when my sister was 11, she saved up this money for many birthdays and bought a laptop. And so she would put this thing on and then type like fake typing on the laptop. And she'd say, Vacation Getaway Center, how can I help you? And she would book me on all kinds of trips everywhere around the world.
She was
And
aware of the future.
yes! I didn't even think of that. You're right. That's so true. Oh my gosh. And just thank you for reminding me of that element. It is so fun and it's so
Mm.
what makes things work.
And then, there are times when it's not fun. Like when, like after a while of creating business, I had this phase of where it's not fun, and I'm like, at first I didn't even notice that I didn't have fun, but then when I noticed, then I am like, what is this? Where's the fun? And so I realized I started to try to be efficient, and I had this thing of, this stress of, okay, I have 5 minutes where I have nothing to do, something is wrong. I can't just relax. I have to fill it with something that I have to do. So I make sure things are actually moving along. Like I notice not trusting that, you can actually relax and things just come to you. All of life comes to you with ease and joy and glory. So I asked a bunch of questions like, okay, so who does this belong to? Who am I being? And I'm like, oh gosh, I slipped into this whole, like when you do something like
Yep.
business or becoming a mom or whatever, and it's
Yep.
new, like how you after a while slip into this role of whatever that is. And that's what I noticed that I did. I was, slipping into this role of a business person. I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to be busy. I'm supposed to be stressed. I'm supposed to, worry about, doing enough and getting enough done. And I'm like, okay, no, goodbye, not
Mm,
doing that. That's not me. So everything that is, back to wherever it comes from. And so I'm like, so if I would be totally me here in business, what would I do? So anytime I would start to stress again, I'm like, okay, who does this belong to? Who am I being? And what can I choose now that more matches who I am? And then I
yep.
started to go, to the playground, swing in the thingy lingy, whatever it's called that you swing in English. And then, or, go to the zoo or the park or go horseback riding. And that changed everything, like this element of that. And I got so many ideas again, from all these activities. So that helped a lot too, this and now I am so proud for the capacity to relax. I feel like relaxation is seldom something that people would talk about as a capacity, but it is. It's like because you need to trust that relaxation is actually where you are open for the whispers of possibilities, where you're actually engaged with your body enough to know what's required in every moment. And business is not just the business that you create, like the emails you write, the people you work with, the projects you create. Like your whole life is your business. So engaging with your whole life, engaging with your whole body, relaxing into everything is a big part of like the pragmatics of creation. It just like it's something that I realized works way better than the efficiency that I tried to make real for so long.
Totally, totally. It's so funny, like, when we're really being us and creating things in a way that work, it is so not normal, so not this serious business. It's like when things are working, it really is from the play, which is the opposite of
Hmm.
what we've been taught. And I like what you said about you had to unlearn so much of what you learned in university,
Yeah,
uh, in order to actually have fun and create.
yeah, yeah. Like my role was psychology and psychotherapist, and I mean that was something that I tried to a little bit at least. I tried to adapt that role, and I realized even with that occupation, like first I was all excited. Oh my god, wow, well now I get to actually do what I learned in reality. And then as I tried to be like one is supposed to be when one is a whatever it is, in my case psychologist and so on, I'm like, oh wow, it's getting so heavy. It's like I have no, like I was so bored. I was not having fun again, and then anymore. And then I'm like again there. I'm like, who am I being? Oh, okay, I'm being like everybody else. I'm trying to fit into a role. And then okay, so what is my way of being a psychologist? What do I add to this that no one else knows that I uniquely know? And that is a question that I highly recommend everybody asking, because most of us slip into a role of being a mother, being a parent, being a family member, being a whatever profession, being a not business person, being a business person. And then okay, then we have the choice to, once we are becoming aware of it and we see it, we're like, okay, wait a second, what am I going to choose? Am I going to do this, like fitting into this role, or am I going to ask a question? If I would be me, what would I be here? What do I uniquely know about being a mother, being a business person, being a whatever, that nobody else knows? and then the game starts.
Mhm. Oh, it's so brilliant. So, can you talk about, you know, the generative energy? Like, I love the concept of like, because everything you're describing is really talking about being the generative energy, um, like that energy that brings things into existence or these amazing ideas we have. Um, can you talk a little bit more about that?
um yes, I mean, it's like, if we take nature as an example, nature is always generative. It doesn't even know how to not be generative. And that's the same with us. It's like all of us are naturally generative. It's just that most of us have never acknowledged it because
We
we're
know how to
so
not. We know how to not be generative.
right. And we know how to judge, and we know how to judge ourselves. And the moment we go into, oh my God, I'm wrong, I didn't do this enough, I didn't do this good enough, or that's where we kill the generative energy that we naturally are. It's where we work against us so diligently. But it's like nature would never be not generative, but it doesn't mean that it's always on the go, that it's always, okay, I'm going to create leaves. I'm going to, whatever, create flowers. It's like, yeah, nature knows when it's time for what. And that for me is a big part of the generative energy of
Wow.
knowing when it's time for what. And
Wow.
that's something I also learned to trust. Yeah. Yeah.
No, that's just so big. I'm really glad that thanks for describing it like that because I never saw it that way. And and it's
Yeah.
almost like, yeah, it's almost like, I don't know, we try to do everything at one time yesterday, and that's not how nature functions at all.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, have you ever seen a tree stress? No. Um, like animals, trees, they don't stress. Nature doesn't stress. Like there's no piece of nature that has a burnout syndrome. Um, but people do, because people have all these points of view about, okay, this needs to be done. I have a to-do list of 10 points, and these need to be done today. And that's not generative. That's like trying to be efficient. And that's a big difference. Like efficiency comes from a point of view, generative comes from no point of view. And it's like this space of, okay, what else is possible? What's required today? Like I learned to do this. Like I grew up in Austria, which is a country where you learn to be very efficient and very judgmental. So I learned to, like, and I had a lot of stress with having, like, getting things done. So I changed this in my world by, okay, here's a to-do list of 20 things I have decided I need to get done today. Well, that's just an interesting point of view, isn't it? So I learned to ask, okay, which of these 20 things actually require my attention right now? Okay, none of them, or maybe one of them. And I would do that one. And then I would go again. So which one of those require my attention now? And then by that way of doing it, everything was like a symphony. It was like a dance. Like the one thing contributed to the next and to the next, and created the breeding ground for the next possibility. And it was just this thing that's not supposed to be possible, but definitely is possible.
Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Wow. It's such a level of peace in that,
Yeah.
when we allow it.
But
That's
it's like that piece is like really something. I practice that. I practiced this for a long time, and I still
yeah.
practice it, because the stimuli from the outside are everything but that. It's like stress, come on, have you done this? It's like, I guess, like most of us have learned to stress with everything. And peace is not something that's been taught or been educated in our world. um yeah, different kind of peace, like close your eyes and don't know what you know, and just like pretend everything is fine. That kind peace is being promoted, but like
Yes.
distractor version of peace, but
Yes.
not the relaxation piece. And yeah, that's something I really practice every day. And with whatever tool that I can remember, like it could be, who does this belong to? Or I say, interesting point of view, I have this point of view. Or I just do the whole detour and just go, okay, choice. Nope, I'm gonna, even if I want to stress right now, I'm making myself do something else. Like, I have those moments when I go into total stress. I know now that I'm inventing it. Like, for example, oh my God, I don't have time for all of these things. Okay, then I know now, okay, this is an invention. It's not real. It's something. And most of us know somewhere in the back of our heads, when we're stressing, we know that it's not real. We know that we're pretending right now. And the more you practice the ease and the relaxation thing, the more you will realize, oh my God, I'm so cute. I'm inventing stress again. Oh my God, I'm adorable. And then you can laugh about yourself, or you can make yourself, no, I'm gonna go outside now and just take 3 breaths, or or put on music and dance, and then I'm gonna continue with whatever I've decided I need to do. You know?
Wow, that's so cool. I was listening I was listening to something also that ties into what you're saying, of Gary Douglas's, and he was saying um, human reality is designed to keep you in human reality. And
Mhm.
you were talking about, like so much is designed to keep putting you back into stress. And um I don't even know if I have a question. It just really ties into what you're saying,
Mm,
and
yeah.
it's just so cool, because it does take a lot of tenacity and a lot of courage to really be able to relax when
Mm.
everything is telling you to stress. And it actually takes courage, because it's kind of the opposite of what we think courage is. Courage is stepping up and being forceful, and but the courage to relax and to
Yep,
receive,
that
and
that. Yeah.
yeah, and could you talk a little bit about what receiving is for you?
Receiving for me is being, and it's like knowing, like I have no idea how to describe receiving. It's just really the letting it in, and knowing that nothing can destroy you. It's like people have oftentimes decided what they will receive and what they will not receive, or who they will receive and who they will not receive, depending on their judgments.
Mhm.
And it's like, and then they go, yeah, I can receive when somebody, whatever, is nice to me. Not like, most people don't even receive that, because true kindness, oh my God, that's too much. I cannot receive somebody being kind, which is also based on a lot of points of view. And
Mhm.
then or oh my God, I could never, people say I could never receive when somebody screams at me or is angry at me. It's like people have so many points of view of what destroys them, rather than, can anything really destroy you? No, the only thing that can destroy you is your point of view, but that's something you would choose. And it's like, no energy, nothing that people put it in your direction can ever destroy you, unless you have decided it's stronger than you. And so, like, receiving is blocked by a lot of points of view that people have, rather than just, what, everything can be a contribution to you. And I know, if somebody out there hears this for the first time, you probably go, oh my God, I do not get this, I do not understand. But what if you start, just like playing with that of, okay, who or what have I decided I cannot and will not receive? And then you can make a list of 10 things, and then go, okay, so what have I decided happens and would occur if I would receive that person or that thing? And then you could look at that, is that really true? Like, for example, if you go, okay, if I would receive somebody who's angry at me, I would, whatever, I would crumble, or I would, whatever you've decided. And then you can look at that, oh, would I really crumble? Would I really get destroyed? Wait a second, really? Would I really get destroyed? Like, how many times has somebody, yelled at me or been angry, and I haven't been destroyed? Okay, wow, that's an interesting point of view. So it's like, yeah, the less points of view you have, the more you get to receive and the more you get to be.
Wow. Oh my gosh, that might have been the greatest description of receiving I've ever heard. Thank you. Wow, that's so awesome. Um, so Susanna, I, as we sort of finish up here, where can people find you and the things that you're doing in the classes that you have coming up? I know you also do pragmatic psychology. You've written 4 books.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, 4 books, um, all of which are incredible.
Thank
And
you.
so where and where can people find you?
On SusannaMittermaier.com or pragmaticpsychology.com. And yeah, the books are also on the pages, pragmatic psychology and advanced pragmatic psychology, which with also Julia worked on that
Yeah.
book.
Oh,
And
such a good book. It is
which is
such a beautiful.
co-authored with Gary Douglas. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just love that book. That book actually came from a class that you and Gary Douglas facilitated in
Mm-hmm.
Chicago, I mean, in
Yeah.
2015. And I took, I took the transcripts of that class and put them together and worked on it, and then you worked on it, and it was put together in such an amazing way. But the
Mm-hmm.
material in there, it just changed the axis of my life.
Oh,
Like,
so happy.
oh, so
That
good.
is so cool. I love this is a really cool book. And then there's the fairy tale family book, which is about dealing with family. And then one children's book, which is called Who is Henry? And yeah, and a lot of pragmatic psychology classes, which are mostly about how else can I work as a coach, as a facilitator, as a practitioner, as a parent, whoever, like however you work with people, and using the tools of access on how to work, how to facilitate people, how to coach people in a different way, in a way that works. Haha.
In a way that works. Totally. Totally. Oh, it's so awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for this amazing conversation and yeah, just for being here and everything you're creating, and it's just awesome.
Mhm. Thank you, Julia. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. And thanks everybody listening, and we will see you guys next time. Bye-bye. Thanks for joining me on another episode of A Different Reality. It would be awesome if you could share this podcast with your friends and family. I'm always looking to spread the seeds of consciousness. And you can find me on my website at juliasotas.com. Until next time, what energy, space, consciousness, and choice can you be to create a reality totally beyond this reality with total ease?